do
Hey, Joel Sacker,
present.
Tracy Barnes, Andy Bond.
Here.
Dave Kane,
Here.
Bernie Byer.
Here.
Bill Johnson. Anil Seltzer. Matt Bilkey. Eric Azel,
Present.
Shane Brooker,
Present.
Brian Baird, Pascal Arns,
Present.
and Jack Zeeks.
It
Excellent.
looks like maybe, Matt. Let's see.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'll call Matt Bilkey one more time.
I'm here.
All right.
Excellent.
Okay, we have quorum. Next item is to approve the minutes from the September 18th meeting. We all had a chance to look at that. And would entertain a motion.
I'll entertain a motion for the September meeting minutes. I'll second.
Motion and second, any discussion, corrections, anything so on?
Just, I want to make a note, I apologize for missing that meeting. We were still under tornado recovery and somehow I must have missed all of 30 minutes. I didn't know it existed. So
Well, glad you're okay.
we're back on track.
You're back on track. Thanks for being here. Okay, with that, roll call vote, please.
Joel Thacker,
Aye.
Tracy Barnes, Andy Bond, Steve Kane,
I,
Bernie Byer, Bill Johnson, John L. Seltzer, Matt Bilkey,
Aye.
Eric Azel,
Aye.
Shane Booker,
Aye.
Brian Baird, Pascal Arns,
Aye.
and Jack Zeeks.
Minutes are adopted. Next is presentation of designees for open positions. And do we have a slide on this or?
We do not.
So we have an internal open position for our Thyra SPR position. Joshua is online here. He is one of our planners and will be, if approved, filling that position here. Joshua, you want to give just 30 seconds who you are and your planning responsibilities here?
Absolutely. Hello, good morning, everybody. My name is Joshua Kilo. I'm the Cybersecurity and Risk Assessment Planning Manager in the Planning Division. My responsibilities are involve putting together plans for cybersecurity that I disseminate to the counties to make sure that there is a cybersecurity plan in place, and also developing templates that they can use to create their own customized cybersecurity plans. In addition to that, my responsibilities also include collecting the HIRA data from all the counties, aggregating it into a state HIRA documentation. And that's the information that we use to create the Thyra SPR for the county level that I aggregate to create the statewide Thyra SPR. And then I aggregate that data and create an executive summary that's used for executive decisions to find out the capabilities and gaps in the state and also at the county level. This data is also used for counties to request for grants which are available in different sectors of the grant program. I'm looking forward to work with all the executive and the members of this committee. If there's any questions, please feel free to reach me at jkilu1@dhs.in.gov. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joshua. And think with that, we need to approve adding Joshua, and so take a roll call vote on that.
All right, ready?
You need a motion. Yeah. I'll make a motion. We approve Joshua. Thank you. Motion and a second to approve Joshua for the Thyra SPR position. Now we'll take roll call vote.
All right, Joel Thacker, Tracy Barnes, Andy Bond, Steve Kane,
Aye.
Bernie Byer, Phil Johnson, John S. Seltzer, Matt Bilkey,
Aye.
Eric Yeazel,
Aye.
Shane Booker,
Aye.
Brian Baird, Pascal Arns,
Aye.
and Jack Seeks.
Approved. And now Joshua, you can vote from this point forward on any of the items on the agenda.
Thank you.
So the next item is the presentation of proposed charter amendments and the electronic meeting policy and discussion. I know you sent out back first of the year maybe, or
In January, late January, I believe, I sent out, or February, sent out asking if anyone had any amendments they would like to make to the charter other than amending it to the current year to match the NOFO and preparedness manual and adding any new designees we needed to. And I did not receive any requests for any amendments. So what I sent out yesterday has only been amended to match the current NOFO, Notice of Funding Opportunity, and the current FEMA preparedness manual that came out on Tuesday. And then we also added Joshua to the signature page under the assumption that he would be approved. And if he wasn't, we would have taken care of that. But those are the only changes I made to the entire thing, I think. Right, Christine?
I honestly did not re-review it. and sent it out. I trust.
No, I accepted all of her. Christy also reviewed it, and I accepted all of her changes because she's the legal expert on things. So that is that's all that changed there.
And Chrissy, maybe just a quick reminder, since we only meet twice a year as this group, kind of the guidance for quorum in-person meetings now.
Yes, just for a reminder, pursuant to this committee's electronic communications policy, it is a requirement that everyone attend in person at least once a year. And I know it's a little bit of a challenge because, as the director mentioned, we meet 2-3 times a year. So just keep that in mind. And obviously, everyone who's here today, check that off for the year. But for Joshua and others online, just please be sure to make sure that you're in person for one of the next 2 meetings that we have this calendar year.
And we will have a date for the next meeting for sure. The last meeting always depends on when our award letters come. And then we have one shortly thereafter. But we'll talk about that a little bit later on what that date is.
And real quick, I'm going to back up. I don't know if you all have met David before in Deanburg. So David, just take a moment to introduce yourself and your role here.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been with the federal grants team for 2 years now, and I recently stepped into the role of our Intel grants program, which is where we manage the grants, and doing some stuff with the new CIMS program that the state's rolling out as well.
And he also steps up to help us whenever we need help, whether it be reviewing the upcoming grants or taking the minutes for today. He steps right up.
Appreciate that. Yeah, the state is switching from IntelliGrants to eCivis, statewide grants program. So all agencies are going through training and updates with the budget agency who oversees that, and transitioning all of our work into that new program. So somewhat of a challenge, But we appreciate the work that our grants team was doing and managing some grants and one program and learning the new program that we'll be switching over to. So quite a bit. David, thanks. So Christy, and thanks for that. The other is we have to have
I think based on our numbers now, we have to have a total for a quorum, 5 in person for each meeting.
Yeah.
And if
so
we
not
get
only do we have to
members
have
of the
10
board-
more, we have to have majority in person.
That is why it's really important if you're going to be planning to be virtual or it end up needing to be virtual, letting me know just so that we can make sure we still have quorum in both aspects. And I really appreciate everybody who has done that lately. Super helpful just to make sure that we're still okay and we can actually get our work done. Bill Johnson would be the other one.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, with that, so no significant changes other than updating to the NOFO information that FEMA just recently put out, dropped a few days ago, updating with Joshua's name on there. And so I would look for a motion to approve the amendments in the charter.
So moved.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? Okay, seeing none, roll call vote, please.
All right, Joel Thacker,
Aye.
Joshua Kilu,
Aye.
There's your chance, Joshua.
Aye.
We're waiting for you there.
Tracy Barnes,
Thank you.
Andy Bond, Steve Kane, Bernie Byer, Bill Johnson, John L. Seltzer, Matt Bilkey,
Aye.
Eric Azel,
Aye.
Jane Booker,
Aye.
Brian Bear, Pascal Arns,
Aye.
and Jack Seeks. Yep. So same as we've done for the last couple of years, but it will take place through DocuSign. I will upload the finalized charter to DocuSign and then route it to everyone intern. It will go down the list. So the signature page you saw in the email, it will go right down that list. As soon as the person before you has signed it, it will automatically route to the next person. And then once it is complete, it will send a copy to everyone. I will also upload it to Teams. I will email it out to you all, and we will keep it in our grant file like we always do so that we can submit it with the application. I would ask that you, when you see it, please go ahead and get it signed so that it can get to the next person and we can get it done and don't have to worry about it before the federal deadline. But that's it. And if you have any questions or any problems, please let me know. We'll get it figured out and taken care of. Okay? Any questions on that?
All right. Next is, we'll just discuss, the FEMA.
Okay.
What we can expect here.
So the federal notice of funding opportunity came out on Tuesday. There are some interesting changes to it this year. However, the main requirements of the 80% needs to be passed through to locals, and then 20% is the most the state can keep or can use. Has not changed. The Law Enforcement Terrorism Prevention Activities, or LETPA, is still at 35%. I believe they changed that last year. The funding availability, so we have to get the award letters out within 45 days to satisfy pass-through after we get our award letter. That's nothing new. We've got a process for that one. And then having a senior advisory committee, would you all help us meet that requirement? Absolutely.
The 35%, is that
Mhm.
out of the 100% or
Out of the 100. It's just of whatever we're doing, whatever the projects are, It's how much of those are going toward these kinds of projects, or how many things count for those activities. We are usually in the 65 to 80 range. So that's not usually a number we have to worry too much about. It's gone up. It was 20 and then it was 25 for a minute and then it was 30. So now they're up to 35. Okay. So as far as the national priorities, 30% of our total awards still has to go across these national priorities. What's different this year is that only election security has a minimum spend. So we absolutely have to get at least $130,882.50 in an election project or projects. But beyond that, it's kind of up to us where we're seeing what projects come in, on how much we want to allocate into the other national priorities.
Regarding number 6, Tracy Barnes is director of state IoT. Tracy and I talked a lot about cybersecurity. His team's been out in every county, and we have a meeting tomorrow to talk about election security with the Secretary of State's office, with the election division, and the support that IoT has. But there is a lot of anxiety with our county clerks, with our election volunteers. I know when I was precinct committeeman, all of my volunteers were retired individuals, and they loved doing that. But we're seeing across the state a decline because there are threats, harassment, things like that. I just saw this week the Vanderburgh County clerk resign after receiving some threats, and so it's unfortunate, circumstances that we find ourselves in. And so certainly working with the Secretary of State's office, but I would really love to make sure that the counties know that there's funding available. Brian, and because you're on the executive board for the County Commissioners Association, right? So, making sure that they know there's some potential dollars available to look at projects regarding this. So, Secretary of State's office put in for a project last year, but I want to make sure the counties know that different things are going there. So.
Just to remind everybody, these are in every PowerPoint I give you guys, but just to go over the national priorities. So cybersecurity, they support the security and functioning of critical infrastructure and core capabilities as it relates to terrorism. It's all about terror. This whole grant is all about terrorism. And I won't read all the projects that are examples, but I will send this PowerPoint out after the meeting in case you want to share it with local people. So again, here's some examples of cybersecurity projects.
This is one thing I
Mm-hmm.
those bottom 2 bullets, for those that don't know, were just included as a new law that will apply to counties across the state by, I think, July of 26 as a requirement. So they're not using that developer main and not doing cybersecurity training and policies for their employees. That will be a state law requirement. I think effective July of 2026, I think was the
So again, I think some more messaging we can do with David Bottor and Stephanie Yeager with the different county associations, and because I've had some discussions with, I know volunteer firefighters trying to get departments to back up. It's not that expensive, no. And so this may very well be a good project to look at and maybe try to prioritize some of the local governments that are trying to get over that initial hump at least. some.
I know we're working on it in Johnson County on our key people are, and they're having some difficulty being able to get that transferred over and the permissions to get in. So they're having some issues.
So the real thing, so the cost is, I think, like $300 for the cost of the .gov domain. So they go through a true verification. Depending on if they're trying to get to .gov or IN.gov, it can be two different groups. And so that could be, if it's IN.gov, that's gonna be my team. And so that's what our vendor Tyler Technologies, you said Johnson County, is that where you're at?
Yes, and I know our two IT directors have gotten their domains set up, but they're having trouble getting people like me added to that.
Gotcha. So that's
I don't know
something,
if that's something on our end or if that's
and that, yeah, that could be either way. If you get details on that, don't hesitate to reach out and let me know. But
other people.
But cost wise and even the cybersecurity training, we've actually, so irrespective of this SHSP footprint, we've been putting money into helping try to make this a lot more accessible and affordable and able to be executed. I think we've been providing almost 200,000. I think we're close to 200,000 licenses for cybersecurity training for any government employee in the state. So that covers locals as well. We provide free licenses.
Know before.
For the Noble 4 training, yeah. So, yeah, we really started, I mean, with the cutback of the requirement in this grant program, it also kind of coincided with the creation of another grant program that's out of FEMA, right? The SLCDP. And started using some of that funding along with some other funding that we got from our state legislature to try and get both .gov cybersecurity training, and we've also put money into doing cybersecurity assessments at any local government in the state so that they can actually determine their posture as well. So those are all available, have nothing to do with this grant and this need here. But if you guys know that that's out there and can share that as well, that'd be helpful.
That's accessible on your website.
It is, yeah. Might be IN.gov/local government. Well, authority of cybersecurity. There's a couple of different ways. I'll get that and let you know.
Yeah, we'll confirm that.
Yeah.
And send it out to this group and then you can share with.
Yeah,
The different. Here representing, but I think that's important. And the training, the know before is, all of us here at state do it. And it's really good. It's only, you think, oh gosh, here we go. We got to do it online. But it's really a few minutes. And sometimes it's a recording you're listening to. Other times you've got to check through a couple of things. But it is really good. It just reinforces the basics, which is what gets everyone in trouble. Is clicking on a phishing campaign, backdoor attempt, and then they're in. So I think we can try to push those last two. The assessments through Purdue and IU are at no cost.
correct.
So local governments could get.
Also, the NCSR, the National Cybersecurity Review, that's usually open from October to February, is also free. And they can go through that and it gives some really good assessments. The National Cybersecurity Review.
Johnson County used a wider cybersecurity training. Are there going to be others like that that are acceptable, or is there going to be a requirement to go to the?
So the requirement is that a program exists. It doesn't say what provider or software has to be used, just that a program exists at each level.
Yeah, we found the wiser training to be very, very friendly to people and we're getting about a 93% activity rate on that, which is better than we thought. We were. We have one commissioner that won't.
Don't we all?
You never know.
All right, thanks for letting us.
And just one quick clarification. I know we keep saying local government, like the risk assessments cover anything that's a municipality.
Mhm.
So K-12, libraries, I would assume, district fire departments, things like that as well would also qualify for some of those pieces. So don't let our words of government hold back.
All right. Next one is soft targets, crowded places. They are relatively accessible and there's large numbers of potential targets. So they're always a high priority. This is the one we usually get the most applications for in the last few years, historically. And here's some examples of projects. One that's not on here, oh, I guess barriers are on here. We've done several mobile barriers for various localities. So they can move them into place when they need them and move them to different places. We have information and intelligence sharing. The Fusion Center falls under this one. So we do still have to have a Fusion Center. There's just not a specific dollar amount that has to go toward that project this year, as far as the national priority itself. But this could also be EOCs, as long as they're communicating with all levels. That's really the key for this one, is they're sharing the information with all levels of government and local partners. Domestic violent extremism is all about combating the rise, influence, and spread of domestic violent extremism. Generally, FEMA is not looking for equipment in this category. Locals often try to put SWAT vehicles and that kind of thing in here. They are more looking for analysis, training and awareness programs, threat assessment programs, more the prevention, not the responding to it in particular. So here's a few examples. There's some software that fits this pretty well too, that the Fusion Center and Marion County's EOC has put into place on the UWASI side.
Data miner.
Yeah, that would be the one that I can think of. Then we have community preparedness and resilience, to just investing in those local community-driven capabilities so that they can withstand acts of terrorism and provide essential services, and making sure that we are addressing the needs of the underserved.
Why I've never asked this before, but, the way community organizations is written in there, it sounds like non-governmental only. Is that not supposed to be?
So it's government working with the non-governmental, because only government entities can apply for this grant. The nonprofit security grant would be where nonprofits can apply. So it's in this is what they're looking for in this one. Yep.
You go back to slide.
Sure.
Bullet point there. FEMA using SVI, Social Vulnerability Index. Do they play any of that into their calculations? Do you know?
They do to some degree, but I'm not exactly sure what gets into the math that's above my head.
Well, and I'm thinking, our GIS team has mapped SVI statewide, and so we can see different pockets, that may fall into more of the underserved at risk as we're looking at awarding, and helping understand, from a statewide aspect where more of those underserved at risk communities may be.
Okay, and then here's some examples. CERT teams, especially training, came up a lot. They've been doing national priority webinars, very specific with subject matter experts for the last 2 weeks. And on this one, a lot of training came up more than buying a lot of supplies that are just going to sit in a warehouse. But if it's stuff people are going to use, they're going to train with, then that is more what they're looking for a little bit this year. And then there's some more. This one had a lot of example projects and kind of a wide variety of different things. Okay. And then enhancing election security. Making sure the election is free from foreign interference or domestic interference. Example projects. Some of it could be the physical site and security of not only the voting centers, but also the clerk's offices where they store the voting machines, along with a lot of cyber project aspects of it. Yeah.
Get some communities to come together.
Yep. We just have to make sure if we're going to put it under election security that that's included in the
Like-
narrative that we put into the application, into the federal application, which is not that hard to add to it. So to address these, our plan is to send the information bulletin out early, at the latest early next week. It's just as fast as PIO can get it up on the website and out via Gov Delivery. The attempts to just help us meet all these national priorities, get all the projects so that we can decide and include everything in the federal application. As usual, they will be reviewed by 3 of the grants team. Each individual application will be reviewed 3 times. Based on the fit of terrorism nexus, national priority, our core capability rankings, using the same scoring criteria that we had last year. Unless there's anything on that that we would like to change a little bit. And by we, I mean the SAC would like to change.
Yeah, I think what we changed last year was looking at who had not received an award before and giving them additional points.
We had said in the last 3 years, if you haven't been awarded in the last 3 years, they got 5 extra points to kind of give those that haven't a slightly better chance. So what we would like to ask the SAC this year is if we would like to keep that the same, both the points and the years, or if either of those you would like to adjust in any direction. It did help a little bit. Yeah, it bumped some counties up a little bit, that, or entities anyway, who may have applied multiple times but had never gotten one in the last 3 years. It put them up higher than before. It helps. I think so.
We have that map.
I have the map of what we awarded, but I don't know if we have the. This is the one of what we did award, but I don't think we did awarded for the first time on this map. It's not. Map from what we awarded last year.
Yeah, it's not on there. And we could put out the information because I know we looked, there were not a significant number, but there were a number of counties that had received that they had never received before. And
Yeah.
they very well have been because of that additional. So
So that's really up to you all. Right now, the application still says 3 years and we still have the 5 points on the scoring, but we can adjust all of that very quickly if we want.
Would it make sense to increase that? That's like we still go heavily for the bigger county. Just don't know if there's a way to maybe make that more.
What I found was that it helps. So the counties that often get them are really great at writing grants. And this helps mitigate that a little bit. So whether,
As they get into them, that they'll get better.
no, yeah.
And
Mhm.
I just think, when I go back to the people, the bigger counties that were top of ranking for the better healthcare and the motion of that ends up getting more money than the ones that really, really needed it because they did it on a per capita basis instead of doing it on a need basis. Sometimes we get into the practice of letting it go to the per capita basis when it needs to go to the more needs basis.
With that, is there a way to treat them similar instead of just putting a year on it?
explain a little bit more. I don't think I followed completely.
You know there's the need,
Mhm.
but the grant wasn't written well. Is there a way to possibly take this one because we know there's a need, but this one may have been written. Because it happens everywhere. I mean, it's
Yeah.
AFG
Mhm.
program, SAFER program.
Rachel, I don't know if it's, sorry, I don't know if it's just me, but I'm having difficulty hearing the conversations in the room.
Because we're so soft-spoken.
If you guys could speak up a little bit more,
Yeah.
that would help.
So Shane, the question or the discussion was around maybe increasing the points from 5 to a different number to maybe help those counties that have struggled in the past. We know there's probably a need there, but how to help get them over the hump a little bit more. And we know that some counties are really strong in writing grants. And is there a way to kind of evaluate a little differently, knowing that, gosh, there's really a need here. Maybe it wasn't written as good as it should have been. Is there a way to, without bias, try to look at that from a different perspective? So those were the two discussions thrown out here so far, if I've captured both of your.
Yeah, and if I could add, but the other part to that is we don't want people just being lazy either, knowing, oh, we got the need, but so that
Yeah.
where do you find that happy medium, that balance?
There could be maybe a possibility. The problem's going to be figuring out how to quantify that need or decide that part. But we could do a bonus points if you're in that, whatever that category is for the need. I just don't know how to, we have to figure out how to decide who would get those bonus points, I guess would be the
Right.
easiest way to do that.
Rachel, I think it'd be interesting too I don't know if you've ever done a survey to the counties that haven't applied before to ask the question, why aren't they applying? I mean, you guys have done a great job with the training. Is it, a lack of training or experience, or is it potentially limitations that they're having with maybe their commissioners or their elected officials where potentially, someone could help? I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there as we think about those counties that really could use the money, but they're not for some reason applying. I don't know. I know that's not part of the application process, but it might be an interesting survey, not to suggest more work for you, but it might be an interesting survey to find out, what's holding some people back from applying and what can we do to help and maybe even, give out. We would be happy to share our grant applications from past years with others if there's not a problem with that. to try and help people see some of the things as examples, and maybe other counties would be willing to do that, where they could kind of have a, maybe, a little bit of a cheat sheet. So I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there to try and think of it in a little bit broader scope, because when you do show that map, I think it's quite telling that there's a lot of places that just aren't doing anything. And if we can help them with that, then by all means, we should.
And I think what we found out at the ICC through the SB4 process, the state went through in the different counties. So your outerline counties, DeKalb, Whitley, Wells, Adams, Allen, even down into Owen, Morgan, Shelby, Rush, they don't have grant writers. They don't have grant writing firms. And if you look at the ones that are really getting the most of the grants, they probably have hired grant writing teams. They may have grant writing divisions. I know Hamilton County does. I think what's happening is these people are so consumed in just trying to get their jobs done that they don't have the capability or the time to really go after these, because they are time consuming. We were just dealing with one today. We're one of the 3 counties that haven't taken the grant. It's just because there's so much time that you invest in getting the grant that we have to say, is that $78,000 something we need that badly to put toward this? Invest the time and the effort into getting. So I think a lot of these grants, these people, they get overconsumed and they get frustrated. So they just don't do that. And it's not that they don't need it, it's they don't have the time or the ability to make those happen. I don't know what the answer is. I just know that's what we kind of found out from the process that we went through with the health SB4.
Shane, I do like the idea of doing the survey. I would say after this round to find out what we can do better or what help we can offer better. For sure.
Okay, thanks.
Go out too. But with that, maybe, I don't know if we could develop some mentors. So, but the criteria would be that they have maybe for 3 years, they have submitted and not received it. We just don't want everybody to start, oh, well, government right, of course, no. But maybe say if they truly put the effort in for 3 years, and then they're just not getting awarded, there's obviously a reason. Maybe, because I know, like, I did some work with Cabazon on the back end of HG, where we did that with some smaller volunteer agencies, et cetera, that weren't getting awarded. We didn't write the grant for them, but we helped coach them along to put the right wording or whatever needs to be in there to get it. Now, that's time and people, and I get that. How does all that work? I don't know, but it's an idea.
I like it.
So maybe build on emergency management.
Rachel.
One thing that got me first to coach dog grants. I'm in the question, how hard would it be to pull the spreadsheets like you done for who got the award to show who applied and didn't? So then we'd see who's applied 3 years in a row and they're not rating it good enough, as opposed to who's never even tried. 2 different issues to address. With that, we gotta look at who are the mentors, because we don't want them to be like, well, Coach, they may be in a way that isn't so positive.
Yeah.
Because they're afraid they're not. But should be staff. EMA should do it, we should do it. Just to control that. And then finally, he's supposed to, addressing it to award extra points. Written poorly, but in great need. If a county, Joshua, if a county does their THYRA correctly, the THYRA tool that the counties use, when they go through the full process, when they identify a gap, it causes them to address the solution, and they click a box, which federal grant or local funding are we going to use to address this need? So Joshua can do a report and add that and see who's already identified the gap the right way, the solution and the funding, using that report to award extra points in the application to say, hey, they've really done it right. It might have been a poor grant writer, but they use the tools they have to address the need and they thought about how they're gonna do it. They didn't get the grant award and decide we need a truck or a trinket. They thought about what they needed before the grant award came out. That would be a great way to add points to the application to say, was it based on thyroid? I'm making it up as I sit here.
Mhm.
But if they did the real work up front and addressing the need through the thyroid, they should get points for that. Nobody's doing it.
Yes, to, just to follow up on what Bonnie just said,
That's right.
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I would like to add on what Bonnie just said. For the last 6 years that I've been doing this analysis, out of 90 I have never received errors past 85 counties. And 6, I'm really happy.
Understand
We
about,
have
about 7 counties
10,
that
15.
on average don't do it.
Don't do it or do
Who just don't do it.
7 that don't.
Okay.
We have don't submit anything.
Is there a point amount that you guys want to help our team with? You know, if it's 5 and then it's an additional 2 or something like that, but
Understand the sheet? I don't remember.
No,
That was, is that a lot of weight, little weight?
got it. I've got it. Okay, so these parts are just information. So core capability is 5 points for high, 3 for medium, 1 for low, and if it's not allowable, they get no points. Or if they don't answer the question, they get no points. How does it identify with the gaps? And how well they explain it? If things are allowed. And then, okay, here we've got the terrorism connection. Any collaboration. And then this is the one where, and or any other things we want to add to it.
if you added something for thyroid, what are you thinking? For an agenda?
I guess the question would be, off the top of your head though, what's the point difference between awards and non-awards?
It depends on the year.
Do we have a whole bunch of people just 3 points below? Or is it a big gap? To know 5 points, this looks like to me like it's a big deal
Yeah.
on the number of points.
Yeah, it certainly
Yeah,
would be.
they're real close.
Yeah, I mean,
because
there are some people,
It
some
did-
applications that were just like a
Parts
point
of a
or,
point.
yeah, parts of a point off, you know, so.
It's
yeah.
5 seems perfect. It's
Mhm.
easy.
Mhm.
In all the categories.
I guess out of 92 counties, do we have, I guess, a percentage or a number of ones that don't apply?
Not
I
off
wrote
the
that
top of
down
my head,
just to-
but yeah, we can find that out fairly easily. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's, I've traveled around and then Tracy knows too, well, you know, even some of our federal grants or some people are like, we are not interested in, you know, any grants whatsoever. It's a waste of our time and we're not doing them. Then you're gonna get 0, right? I mean,
Mhm.
so, and a lot of these counties aren't, especially when we look at cyber, well, we have an IT guy and we're not interested in any other.
Well,
Okay, that's different.
yeah,
You have a need, but you're not.
I think all the,
Asking for it.
what ties to that a lot of times are the strings that are attached to the requirements that you have to go through. Again, like for a $78,000 grant, we have to look at the time process. what
Right.
We have to go through to process it, and it, for $78,000, I'm sorry, it just wasn't worth it. So maybe some of them are looking at it that way also.
Some of them have said to us that, look, I'm the only one I'm the EMA director and
There you go.
it's me. I just don't have time to do any more than what I'm already doing.
And then our individual in our county, our individual departments.
Mhm. Mhm.
Sometimes that doesn't work well. We do have a great humane record that goes after money, though, so we do well that way, but in our other departments out there.
One of the things, it would be for this year, obviously, but can you scroll back up a minute to like what's allowable, the section?
Yes.
So like there, maybe we look at restructuring the point system. If it's not allowable, it's not gonna get awarded. So that might even be a section we don't need, or we go to 0, 1, 2, or I don't know. We have to play with the numbers and see that if it might make a difference, because obviously it seems like 1, 2 points could make a difference on the entire application for many. So that's another way of maybe taking out some of the bias, extra points that we might award someone, that someone could come back and say they got that for whatever reason, but I don't know, just thinking out loud.
Cool. I would almost want to say, add another question. Have you applied in the last 3 years and been declined? You get a couple more points for that. But they might have been declined because what they asked for wasn't allowed. And
Yes.
wasn't that it was.
Uh-huh.
Recently.
Yeah. And last year we did have 150 or 160, one of those two numbers, applications. So we did get a lot, and we just don't, there's only so much money. And so a lot of people did get denied last year, for sure. I feel like it was a lower number, but kind of the same situation the year before.
And I want to come back to that because all of our grants have been cut by 10% by the federal government. So all these
Yeah, because
grants,
we haven't talked
EMPG,
numbers yet.
UASI, Shane on there, cut 10%. So that is now, I mean, we're looking at anywhere between, $500,000 and $750,000 loss in Indiana on, depending on what the grant is. So, and we are pushing more information. We do see more people applying, and now we've got even less funds coming in. So that may play into the discussion about points too, is, okay, it's even more competitive going off of what you're hearing. 5's pretty significant bonus if you haven't, and then continue to research and look at ways, I think this is a great discussion. I love the discussion, and then we probably need to have it maybe a little earlier.
Yeah.
But we can do the research here, this year, and then look at.
And we can definitely get it in for next year and get it figured out so that we're really ready to go with all the great suggestions we've gotten today next year for sure.
I do like Tyler.
And Josh working. The point about the 10% cut, Bernie and I have talked about funding. This reaffirms as we go into 2025 the need where counties help to. We have to be better in Indiana taking care of food in Colorado. We cannot rely on. We have been. The EMPG is one that emergency managers. I'm in a conundrum on funding one versus another and what's fair. Fair doesn't exist in that environment really, but now it's cut even less. It's probably 600,000 plus. And so going into 2025 as a budget year, talking to our state elected officials about what can we do within the state to make up, we know there's a need, we're getting less federal dollars. What can we do at the state level to help counties, locals, with some project preparedness, things like that. So just something to be thinking about. If we're getting in summer and we'll have to have legislative items, we'll really need help. Obviously there will be a new governor in January, and so really working. We will work with the current governor's office, of course, but the state legislature, where it's really going to be key this year going into building that budget. We'll have a new governor January 1, won't have the input like.
And your state legislators this coming year will lobby. a lot of different folks, so. Probably need to get in that early or.
So it was very disappointing to see. Yeah, they've been kicking this can down the road, you know. Congress they'd made threats, never really followed up on them, but this year they did. You know, they cut all of the Fire Act grant dollars, all of our emergency management preparedness dollars, and so very disappointing. So anything you all can do from working with your local legislators is going to be very important moving forward.
Okay, did we land on a change? Yeah.
So.
Hang on one sec. Let me, yep, that's the beginning. I just wanted to make sure. Mm-hmm.
So it's just points to the point that if they're poor writers,
Mhm.
give them a break of it. And then the reviewer might not know the technical aspects on what they're asking for as well, and might not make the connection. So it might be the reviewer, not the writer as well, depending on what they're asking for. So from a point standpoint, it's too hard to tell you 2 more points here. One, that'll never fix the problem. But I think if they don't already have it, the reviewers need to have a little leeway and grace in awarding the points, to not be too rigid, to say that they missed that word or it didn't connect there.
Yeah.
And I know it's a big problem. And that's been what they meant. But to give them the benefit of the doubt on awarding points. And that's where we get down to playing the game of, do we give the director 20 bonus points for awarding it? Look at the recheck pile, and does somebody review the recheck pile and add a couple points here somewhere?
Well, part of that to address some of that subjectivity, that's why there's at least 3 different people that are going to review each one, then we average everything together. To kind of account for that, I might be a little more harsh about certain aspects than David's going to be. And so we kind of balance each other out. That's that's our purpose in having 3 of us, even though it makes us go really hard, really fast when these come in. But that's our attempt to kind of alleviate that.
So
Okay.
Another point, I'll shut up, but maybe move away from the point system and go to a strongly agree, neutral, because maybe it puts pressure on all of you, like, we gotta give it a point, kind of thing. So granted, in the scoring aspect at the end, it will average out to be similar,
Mhm.
but I think it takes that mind frame to different, it looks at it a little different.
I would disagree. I'd say it's the other, that having some criteria helps us kind of,
The criteria be similar.
yeah,
but it's that number. The number's still there with where it falls in,
no.
but instead of saying, oh, it's a 5, no, I agree with, instead of, is it a 4 or a 5? Kind of. I don't
Okay, okay. Now I get what you're saying.
Anyway.
Yeah.
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 A lot of good information. I think we'll look at counties who applied not awarded versus not applied at all. And, and follow up on some more information on FIRA. But it sounds like stick with 5, follow up, and then maybe have some more discussion on next year here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much for that.
Yep.
Um,
Oh, there's more.
next is, application.
Well, we kind of skipped over. We skipped to this. So we got to go back a little bit. Because we skipped from here. So that you guys see the numbers and stuff. So we're still planning to do 150 as their cap, 150,000. And 1 national priority and 1 enduring needs as the max per organization. That seems to be working out pretty well. Plus, we have to keep reminding everybody, look, you're competing with each other. not like you're competing with me. You're competing with each other. So if you know, Bernie does one and the Allen County Sheriff does one, and they're both national priorities for the same they're competing against each other. And so just making sure that's clear to everybody. And then we're going to have everything due on May 30th, which is a Thursday, Thursday after Memorial Day. The federal application is due June 24th. So that gives locals a month and a week or so, week and a half, to apply. We've been saying this is coming, and the national priorities are going to be the same for months. So they know it's coming. Yeah, and then it gives us time to review, you guys time to meet, and get everything into the federal application, which is also a new system this year. So yay for us. Core capabilities. So these didn't change at all from last year. They're exactly the same. Green means high priority. Yellow means medium priority. And then we didn't have any red ones. And the gray ones just don't apply to this grant. And then here's the actual numbers. So our allocation this year is $4,362,750. That is about $500 less than last year. And then the max the state can retain or in any state projects, including M&A, is $872,550. The amount available for locals is $3,490,200. And then you see the LIPTA and the amount that needs to go into the minimums we have to have to hit LIPTA requirement and the national priority requirements. Any questions on that? And then we kind of already talked about these things, the review, but the application looks a little bit different this year. Mostly we have new templates. And I will show you here a couple of things we did change. So it's just a little bit cleaner. All of this is the same. So we ask what national priority, or if you're going for enduring needs, that they only pick one of them. We have instructions like we did last year where it gives them very specific instructions on, like, this is what we're looking for in this box.
That's in the application.
It'll
Instructions.
Yep, the application instructions will have all of this. It basically, we take an application and put all the things they need to put in each box. Underserved community. And then we have a large box for describe what you're doing. With all the details, why are you doing it? How are you doing it? What are we going to pay for? How's it support terrorism preparedness? And then if it's a national priority, how does it relate to that particular national priority you picked? And then what tool was used, whether it be THIRA, SBR, an after action report, a disaster happened, and we found we have a huge problem here, that kind of thing. We do ask what core capability is being addressed, meaning which one, pick one, because I have to put it into system that way. And then how does your project address that core capability? And the information bulletin has the list that you just saw. It has it both written out and in picture form. They can look there. Long-term impacts, cost effectiveness. Here's if it's been awarded in the last 3 years. Communication projects, have they coordinated with Andy? And that they need to submit that certification. to us with their application. And then if it is and has been certified, how does it align with the interoperability plan? So this is the part that we changed. We moved this box up so we could see the budget, because sometimes they forgot to fill it out before we got to the who do I contact, and all the narrative data points. And then we cleaned it up a little bit so that the grant cost is very clear. The amount of law enforcement, terrorism prevention activities, if it's planning, organization, equipment, training, or exercise, description, cost, number, the AEL code, and the item. Again, in the instructions, we have also spelled out what goes in each box again, and given examples. And they can always, everyone can always ask us to, always. And then any additional information they want to give us. And then on the last page, we just have, like I said, contacts, important numbers that we have to have. The things we've added here, this is where we've added the most things. We've added a second point of contact. So we have a backup person as people leave jobs between now and September. We've asked for their federal ID, federal employment identification number. It just helps us look up supplier and bidder numbers if they don't know them. The UEI is unique entity identifier, which is required. And then the rest of them are questions that I'm going to have to put into FEMA Go anyway. So it's easier if you all give me the answers than I have to try and figure it out. And then a total grant request here. So, but like I said, this is the page that had the most changes, and it was just little data points to help us get the grants out better and make life a little bit easier for everyone. Any questions on that?
One question.
Mm-hmm.
There is the question which pertain to which core capability is being addressed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you want to put /S, because there could be multiple cross-cutting core capabilities which cut across different mission areas. I don't know if you intended it to be just one core capability, or if it's a cross-cutting core capability which affects multiple mission areas. I don't know if that might be confusing to.
I understand what you're saying. For these purposes, I have to put their primary core capability, one core capability, to the grant system for FEMA in the application. And so I would prefer they just put the one that is most relevant.
Okay.
For these purposes. If that makes sense.
Thanks. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. No, I understand they will hit several core capabilities probably with a project, but I want the one that's most relevant. Okay, so that's all we changed on that. We've already talked about this, and we're going to keep it the same for 3 years, correct? And keep it with 5 points for this year, and we'll revamp everything for next year. Look at different ways to do that. Okay. I'm talking about that. And then the only thing is the application feedback form. We haven't changed anything on this, but I will show it to you. In a moment, because I didn't have that one up. Sorry about that. So this is if they submit a grant support ticket, we are more than happy to fill it out for a specific project. Basically, we just put a yes, a no, a check mark in yes, no, or insufficient for each of these categories, and then send it to them. Is what we've done last year and the year before. For those that ask. So they know whether it was good, not so good, or it was just insufficient. It didn't have enough. I just wanted you to see it again. If there's anything we want to change about this, we can do so before in one of the next couple meetings. As we won't be sending this out till after awards are out. But we have a minute for this one.
Can we send that out? to
Yes.
everybody?
Yes.
Yes or no? Equal the points? Or can it be a yes by having a 3 instead of 5?
Insufficient would be like you got 3 instead of 5. Yes would be you got the points, or you got really close to all the points you could possibly get. So that would be like a 4 or a 5.
So still the exact picture.
No, it does not give them. I'm gonna look over here to my legal side for that, but we can look into it again and double check. Yeah.
Or put yes, 4 or 5, no, 0, 1, insufficient. I know we could put some guidance up there. So what a yes means, what a no means. Just means if we don't give them.
Okay.
Possibly switch it to high, low, or insufficient. So you scored high here, low here. Need work. Determine some.
Never be better.
Okay. We'll look at that. Like I said, we can fix this over the next couple meetings.
The reason I say
Yeah.
that, it's, then you start getting people out there comparing points.
Yep.
Well, you got 5, and I got 4, 5.
Mhm.
They basically do the same thing. I
Mhm.
think it'll cut down a lot on
Mhm.
your end. The firehouse, picnic table talk.
I totally understand. All right. But yeah, I'll send that back out. Sorry, I keep losing my spot here. Okay, and then that was it. The next meeting. Oh, this is the one last thing. So June 13th is definitely the day because the director's gonna go away for me.
We'll be on a cruise during the 4th, so we're not doing it. So God forbid if there's a.
We're staying in the basement that week.
Get supplies in. We're gonna be prepared. So we can do 11 o'clock or we can do 1 o'clock. Whatever you all would prefer.
Oh, the volunteer? What?
11.
So, only better. Think.
We changed
Is that your
everything this
birthday?
year. That may be all right. So we're going to a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday instead of Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. That should be all right. I'll be up there anyway.
No,
At least you won't have to go far, right? 11, sound good?
That's all right. I won't play golf.
All right, and I will get that meeting invite sent out, if not today, tomorrow, so that you guys can have it on your calendars already. All right. That's all I've got unless there are more questions.
And over a little bit, but I think it was really good discussion and we like hearing from you all. That helps us, you represent, different areas around the state. That helps us apply, information towards these important grants, so. Hearing nothing, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
In case anyone wants to know, we said
Thank you very
7 capital
much.
words in this meeting.
I know you, yeah, do your dictation on there, yeah.
I didn't hear well, so have to hear that.